WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232 or 888-922-2149.
Talking wrestling.
Yeah.
Because that's what this show's about. That's what we've been doing for over 16 years.
No. It's about sports entertainment.
And now here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon and Lucas DeSangro.
Will you stop marking out over there?
Sorry.
Move over, kid. I'm taking your microphone.
You're shallow, you know that?
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I don't remember what the hell I do anymore. There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. I'm your host, Fearon, and I am here by myself and live on tape. Yeah, I'll let the cat out of the bag here, as I had to take care of things a little early on to be able to entertain you, as right now I am en route to the MFPW Arena for the Braxton Sutter seminar that is going on at the top of the hour here, and no way that I can end the show here in Levittown and be all the way down in Paulsboro, New Jersey at the same time. So, since we don't have instantaneous travel technology, got to do a little bit of pre-recording action, and I certainly hope you appreciate it out there. Firstly, thanks to all of you lovelies out there who went to social media to wish me a happy birthday from yesterday. Can't believe it's been as long as it has, turning the big 3-6 now, and having been here with the show for more years than is immediately jumping out at me, it feels like. No, all kidding aside, almost 8.5 years that I've been with the show here, and well over 18, a little closing in on 18.5 years here. It's certainly amazing, to say the least. Well, a lot to get into. Battleground, of course, this past Sunday at the Wells Fargo Center here in Philadelphia, and I did manage to, at the last minute, find a way to make my way into there, and what an interesting event that it was. So much so, in fact, that Lucas, who, because of occupational obligations, is not here with me, and also not taping this so he can get a little bit of some semblance of sleep. But he sent me a Snapchat midway through the pay-per-view, basically saying, "Welp, our predictions are effed." And, well, he wasn't too far off. I mean, we both ended up, for the first time, I think, ever, all of our picks we agreed on, so there was that. And we ended up going 50-50, so they were predictions half certain to go wrong and half certain to go right, I suppose. Looking at the kickoff, Aiden English ended up pinning Ty Dillinger in just under 10 minutes, and that was one that we both got incorrect. We have new tag team champions in SmackDown, thanks to New Day beating the Usos, and as a lot of people had noted out on social media, you could pretty much tell that was going to happen when the New Day came out in patriotic attire that would essentially make the All-Americans team from the 1993 Survivor Series impressed and jealous, as there was a lot of stars, stripes, red, white, and blue to be seen in the New Day attire. So you kind of knew with this almost hearkening back to patriotic days of yore that seemed to have gone on. For example, back in 91 with the Desert Storm conflict that was going on in the Middle East, and the patriotism associated with that, and you got to see Hulk Hogan take on the Iraqi sympathizer Sergeant Slaughter, or even in 93 when Lex Luger stopped loving himself as the narcissist or Narcissus and started loving his country and was donned and adorned in red, white, and blue all throughout 93 to 95 during his World Wrestling Federation run. It seemed like there was a lot of that yay America, boo foreigners going on here, and in a subtle way that's kind of what started here with this New Day match, which Lucas and I did predict would be correct in terms of the New Day winning, and they are now the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Next up, Shinsuke Nakamura did win his match against Baron Corbin, but not in a way that he would like, as Corbin hitting the low blow on Shinsuke Nakamura, going where the sun sets on the man from the land and the rising sun, dare I say, hitting him below the belt, and Nakamura getting the disqualification win. But hey, a win is a win, at least when it comes to the predictions certain to go wrong. One that we had no clue on, that's for sure, was the 5-way elimination #1 contender match, where it ended up being probably one of the biggest dark horses in the in the field, I guess, if you had to handicap the 5 of them. But Natalya beating Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Tamina, and Lana to earn that SmackDown Women's Championship match at SummerSlam against Naomi. And we both went with Becky Lynch, and we both were wrong on that one. Kevin Owens winning the U.S. Championship, pinning AJ Styles, and neither of us got that right, but AJ Styles, man, he was a trooper here in the Philadelphia market, as he spent a lot of time doing various interactive and media type things, including something we'll talk about a little bit later, even taking to the diamond, I guess, with all that familiarity with some of the base brawl things that TNA Impact did. That I guess he's familiar with a ball field or two, and since there was one right across the street from the arena, well, I guess he did a little bit of partaking. We'll get into that a little bit later. Back to the matches here. John Cena beating Rusev in a flag match, which this particular... I know that the rules of a flag match tend to differ depending on the situation. Sometimes it's just... I mean, if you go back to WrestleMania 2, for example, Corporal Kirshner winning a flag match against Nikolai Volkov at WrestleMania 2 simply by pinning him and getting to wave his colors high, even though, if you go back and look, both men got to wave their flags prior to the match. So that one didn't quite work out so well. Other times you've seen where you've had to climb up the turnbuckle corner where there was a pole, almost like a flag on a pole match, essentially, where the first person to bring down their respective colors of the flag would therefore win the match. And this one was a little bit different in that it kind of added an additional twist in that you not only had to retrieve the flag off of a pole high atop a respective opposite turnbuckle corner, but you then had to bring the flag down the entranceway up toward the entrance stage where there were 2 respective pedestals, which were essentially the bases of the steel ring steps painted over in the respective flag colors, Bulgaria for Rusev and the USA for John Cena. And you had to place the small flag post atop that pedestal, almost as the representatives of the United States did, sticking the flag into the moon back with the moon landing back in 1969. It almost kind of had that feel to it, except in space nobody was getting beat on by other astronauts, as there weren't exactly. You get where I'm going with that. That analogy had legs, and then fatigue kicked in, I suppose. I don't know. But nonetheless, John Cena, of course, in this patriotic pay-per-view of Yay America, Boo Everybody Else, where, of course, you were going to have America win out here. Although, not so much in the U.S. title match, now that I think about it, as Kevin Owens, the Canadian, pinning AJ Styles after the surprise victory by AJ Styles at a house show, of all things, a few weeks ago at Madison Square Garden. But now the title back under Kevin Owens' reign there. Also, another bit of a shocker, Sami Zayn pinning Mike Kanellis, which I guess in hindsight doesn't seem like as much of a shocker other than a huge build-up for him. And, well, we'll see if having that first televised loss, if that takes away his momentum, or if Mike and spouse Maria Kanellis can regain the momentum quickly, as usually an early on loss tends to derail a lot of momentum. And finally, the match that people are talking about, probably for better or for worse, but probably more so the latter in a lot of cases, the Punjabi prison match. That's right, being dusted off with Jinder Mahal as the WWE Champion, taking on Randy Orton for the third time on pay-per-view in recent months. And a lot of convoluted rules in this case. So you have the Punjabi prison, the inner and outer bamboo cages, the inner one essentially being like a bamboo bar cage as opposed to the blue bar cage back in the 80s and 90s. Except with a couple of, I guess, sliding trap doors, for lack of a better phrase. 4 doors that you can call to be opened, but they can only be opened once, and they're open for only 60 seconds. And if you can't make it through, that is shut and locked, and then you're forced to climb over the top of the inner cage to where there is a second cage, almost like a Punjabi Hell in a Cell without the top, I guess. I know, it's very convoluted, but then you would have to climb out of the exterior cage in order to gain victory. It's almost like a Kennel from Hell match without the dogs, maybe. Well, again, there's no top on it, so it's a bit strange and convoluted. And the fans who endured the almost half-hour match, almost as much as the wrestlers had endured it. All 4 of the inner doors ended up being opened. At one point, the Philadelphia crowd kind of paying a little homage to the Sixers, who also play in that building. Of course, the Sixers professional basketball team, with a "Trust the Process" chant. That was both entertaining and also a little cringeworthy at the same time, as it showed that they weren't quite buying into the Punjabi prison match. And I think because of the convoluted nature of it, I think that's part of what took a lot of people out. But the big news coming out of that is the return of the Great Khali, the originator of the Punjabi prison match over a decade ago. He came out to assist Jinder Mahal with the victory so he can retain the WWE Championship moving forward here. So the Great Khali's back. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about what you think about that, how long he'll be around, whether he's just brought in to kind of help boost and bolster the Indian market, as there's been a lot of interest in that with WWE fiscally and financially. And speaking of that, we'll get into that coming up in our second segment as part of our news and notes here, as the second quarter financial results were released earlier this week. So we'll get into that and get into a bunch more, including, Mrs. Matt Hardy going at it again on Twitter. We'll tell you what she's had to say, as they've been going back and forth with Jeff Jarrett and Anthem Management. Also, those financial quarter results, along with the subscriber numbers for the WWE Network. Also, a legal statement regarding the alleged incident between Alberto El Patron and Paige at that Orlando airport back earlier this month. Also, speaking of Impact and GFW, the Anthem executive Ed Nordholm speaking with Sports Illustrated about that debate that Mrs. Matt Hardy has been making a big deal about. All that and a whole bunch more. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. And if you thought last year's Summer of Shellfish was a big deal, wait until you see what we have now. Our Summer of Shellfish is underway, with many of your favorites and many new items, such as our huge crab feast every Saturday and our new seafood sauté every Sunday. The sauté features clams, mussels, shrimp, and lobster in our homemade red, white, or Sicilian sauce. We have seafood specials every day, all summer long. Visit chickyandpete's.com for your Summer of Shellfish calendar and details.
Join former Phillies All-Stars Ricky Bottalico and Tommy Green along with host John Brazier for the Baseball Insiders Show presented by SEPTA immediately following Phillies baseball this Sunday right here on 1490 WBCB and video stream live at WBCB1490.com.
Thousands of families affected by disasters like the recent hurricane urgently need support. you can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite proofing and pest control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
He's got
man.
the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so he might have to...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
You're breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. I'm going to break something else during this commercial.
There we go.
All
That's
right.
what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you alongside myself as Lucas has some occupational obligations and he's gearing up for the MFPW event later tonight at the MFPW Arena, which I'll let you know about that going on right now. That returns to the world-famous Monster Factory at 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey tonight, where you'll see Impact star Braxton Sutter challenge Manny Soriano for the MF Live Championship. Also, Nick Camarado and Josh Briggs, along with Rico De La Vega, take on Dobbs and Plunkett the Ogre, accompanied by Rocco. That should certainly be, there's been a lot of blood boiling between those two factions, and that'll certainly continue here. Also, Falaba and Mario Bocora, the MFPW Tag Team Champions, the Money and the Miles, they'll be defending those titles tonight. Plus, Getty makes his debut against Eric Martin of the Classics, and Royal Money faces Corey Hyena Hex. Plus, you can see Sage Matthews, Primal Fear, Birkin Bender, and a whole bunch more. Plus, all front row seats get backstage tour as well as a meet and greet prior to the show. That's right, a backstage tour and a meet and greet prior to the show. Front row seats almost sold out and gone, and with that goes your chance for the meet and greet before the MFPW event. It's all tonight at the MFPW Arena, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Tickets available now at eventbrite.com, and make sure to check out the MFPW and all things Monster Factory on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, plus at monsterfactory.org. And you can check out past matches, bios, bloopers, and more at the mfnetwork.com. And, well, part of the reason for things kind of shaking up a little bit is I'm actually en route to the MFPW Arena to attend a seminar that is being hosted by Impact star Braxton Sutter. And since that starts right at the time that this show ends, right when we hear from our good friend Nutsy, no way for me to get all the way from Levittown to Paulsboro instantaneously. Oh, if we could, what a wonderful world it could be. But I don't know. Maybe we'll get that going around the time that the Jetsons had kind of had things figured out back some 55 years ago. Oh, wow. Is it 55 years since the... Yeah, 1962? Yeah. Okay, so maybe in the next 45 years we'll get to those that tube travel thing, and maybe we'll see those flying cars as well.
It's times like this it occurs to me we were lied to by the Jetsons.
What are you talking about?
According to that show, we were supposed to be tooling around in flying cars by now. You see any flying cars lately? That's the problem with TV. It always lies to us.
Yeah, well, most of us rational thinkers weren't banking on a cartoon to offer us a viable glimpse into the future of technological development.
You don't think anyone anywhere is working on the flying car?
I could care less.
I gotta believe there's somebody else out there thinking about the flying car besides me.
I'm with you on that, Randall. Anyway, let's get things back down to earth here, at least to the best of our ability, taking a look at some news and notes from this past week, including the ongoing, continuing battle between the Hardys and Anthem Sports and Entertainment regarding the Broken Universe intellectual property. It's been going back and forth for a little while. In fact, Anthem executive Ed Nordholm spoke with Sports Illustrated about the debate regarding that intellectual property. After restating his argument that the company owns the intellectual property, Nordholm closed the interview by saying that he is not open to further discussions on the matter, saying in the interview, quote, "I've stopped thinking about this. We have a show to put on and a company and a brand. We've got things on our plate that are more important than sorting out the broken brilliance. I made a genuine effort to resolve something to benefit the Hardys as a goodwill gesture to Matt. It didn't reach a conclusion, and we're moving on. We're not going back to it. I'm not interested in opening a new dialogue. I'm not interested in opening another conversation about it. We made our best effort. It didn't happen, and I'm not going to negotiate all over again." End quote. So there that is from Ed Nordholm, but that hasn't stopped good old Rebby Hardy from firing away at Anthem management as well as Jeff Jarrett over that ongoing debate. And regarding a possible settlement, Rebby tweeted, quote, "If they were going to, they would have long before I ever said anything again. My recent speaking out was after the last straw for us after weeks of staying quiet, as per our verbal agreement that was made once Billy and our lawyers reached out to them on our behalf. Apparently they couldn't hold up their end of it, with Jeff, Ed, and Dutch continuing to give interviews and lie to anyone who would listen." To interrupt here, of course, she's referring to Jeff Jarrett, Ed Nordholm, and Dutch Mantell, one of the creative minds, and former Zeb Coulter from WWE. Anyway, back to the tweets here. For what? Ego. That's what this is all about. TNA gains nothing they didn't already have by putting us through this mess. Attempting to prevent us from making money? Trying to shut down an entire Ring of Honor pay-per-view? Yeah, we haven't forgotten about that, but they want you to, as they gloat of building bridges to detract from the fact that they can no longer fund their own programming. Let's keep it real. Jeff Jarrett burns bridges like he burns through Kurt Angle's alimony money. Ouch! Feel the burn. That was my own little editorial in there. That wasn't part of what she had said. She pretty much let that burn happen on her own. Back to the quote. They were never going to cooperate regardless of how many chances we gave them to do things amicably / the right way, and there were many. Yikes. This just continues to spiral downward. At least there weren't any additions of bleeping that proverbial owl as the hashtag was going around for a little while. But man, burns bridges like he burns the. Whew. Something ain't right about that. Especially with Kurt Angle now back in WWE, so there's certainly a lot more. Okay, that's. No need to necessarily go there, as I don't want to take a page from the book of Baron Corbin and deliver any kind of low blows or anything like that. But it looks like, at least in terms of the Hardys, it doesn't look like this is going to be ending anytime soon, as much as Anthem would prefer to. It's one of those things that's just going to more than likely keep on going in different ways, shapes, and forms here. Well, with UFC 214 going on tonight, for those of you who are more MMA followers, a little bit of an interesting crossover here is WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar speaking with the Associated Press about the possibility of facing Jon Jones. He was asked, he had asked, would I fight Jon Jones? Anytime, anywhere. Right now, he should be worried about DC on Saturday night. Referring to Daniel Cormier, whom Jones will be facing at tonight's UFC 214 pay-per-view. Now, the interesting thing about this is Brock Lesnar doesn't usually speak to the media when he isn't required to. He's kind of like Marshawn Lynch. He's just talking to the media so he doesn't get fined, as that was so eloquently put with the NFL back a few years ago with the Seattle Seahawks. And this is another one of those examples in that he's kind of actually reaching out to the media as opposed to having a forced media appearance for something like a big pay-per-view like a WrestleMania or Royal Rumble or SummerSlam or something of that nature. So the fact that he's kind of going out on his own I don't know. Could this be Lesnar planting the seeds, perhaps, for a fight once his WWE contract expires after WrestleMania 34 this coming April? Let that speculation start to begin. I've got nothing on it as far as anything confirmed. It's one of those things like why would you say that and throw that out there if you didn't have some sort of plan with it? I mean, there's a lot of savviness when it comes to Brock Lesnar, so I don't know. Speaking of savviness and throwing things out there, it looks like there might be a potential match down the road courtesy of some social media banter between one Roman Reigns and John Cena. As interesting as that may sound. Reigns boasting on Twitter that, quote, "I'm the big fight," which led to the following response from Cena. "Pride always comes before the fall. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, young man. But if you want a big fight, careful what you wish for." And then Reigns firing back, "Real tough guy on Twitter. If you want it, you know the way to my yard. #Raw." Well, I guess somebody's got to lay claim to it now that The Undertaker's retired, as far as the yard, that is. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on a Roman Reigns-John Cena match? Not even just from an in-ring standpoint, but if you're the salty WWE universe that seems to be very polarized toward both of these individuals, it's kind of an interesting dynamic in that they're both fan favorites, at least on paper. But when you hear their themes in the arenas and you see them make their entrances, it's anything but. So if you're somebody who's used to booing Cena as well as booing Roman Reigns, do you boo both of them? I mean, if you're one of those people, it's almost like looking at the evil of two lessers, to take a twist on a common cliche. But who knows? We'll see where that goes, and who knows? I mean, that could be something down the line for maybe Survivor Series, possibly maybe heading into the new year. That could be your feud of 2018, John Cena and Roman Reigns. Okay, what? Don't need to get angry at me. I'm speculating. That's what I do as a broadcast journalist. Also, as mentioned in the last segment here, AJ Styles, prior to defending unsuccessfully the United States Championship at Battleground, Styles took batting practice and threw out the first pitch at the Phillies home game prior to Battleground at Citizens Bank Park. And yeah, I guess maybe he carried some of that Phillies losing mojo from this season out with him over to the Wells Fargo Center, because he didn't do so well against Kevin Owens there, and the finish to the match had a lot of people scratching their heads as well, the way that the match had ended. So, I don't know. Hopefully things will turn around for the Phillies, and of course you can hear them, weather pending, later today on 1490 WBCB. Let's take care, I was going to say, we're getting to around that point, kind of balancing things out here a little bit, trying to figure things out as far as the timing goes and whatnot. But I got to let you know that it is another frickin' awesome Saturday at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA, where currently on tap, that's right, another firkin. This time around, it's something that the boys of B-Gob have been going to on a couple of different occasions now, and it's been rather interesting, but a cereal-based firkin. And this one by special request, that's right, the Fruity Pebbles Saison. Yeah, that's right, you can insert your own John Cena joke here, because I got nothing on that one. Plus, the fridge continues to get cleaned out from goblet stock with Oaked Angry Troll Amber. Make sure to get that before it goes, if it hasn't already. As well as Pineapple Smash on tap, as well as the anniversary beer Fool's Gold, a golden Belgian strong ale aged on blackberries. And also Tuesdays now bring the residency of Jackbox.tv. That's right, come on in and see what interactive games you can get involved with while easing your way into Hump Day. And coming up Saturday, September 23rd, the Broken Goblet teams up with the Bucks County Speedsters for the first ever beer mile in Lower Bucks County. That's right. It's like a variation of the Brock Lesnar t-shirt, Drink, Run, Repeat. That can't be good, or can it? I'll have to find out. Full details coming soon, but think of it as 4 quarter-mile runs with a full beer in between each. Sounds easy, right? Think again. And just hitting the market, Broken Goblet Lip Balm. Made with Broken Goblet's Pineapple Wheat and Blood Orange IPA are now on sale. That's right, brewed beer into a lip balm. Very interesting. Just a few reasons why it's always a good time at the Broken Goblet Brewery, 1500 Grundy's Lane in Bristol, PA. Broken Goblet Brewing, the semi-official brewery of Pro Wrestling Weekly. Please enjoy responsibly. Coming up, we've got some more news, including those financial results and whatnot to get into with WWE. Also, the statement from the attorney regarding the alleged incident between Alberto El Patron and Paige at the Orlando airport earlier this month. And also, what Global Force wrestler, or GFW wrestler, has sought his release and what's going on with that. All that, plus today in wrestling history. We still got birthdays, a whole bunch more. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Quick, without looking at a clock, what time is it? The answer's really easy and delicious because it's always pie time. Tasty Cake takes the time to bake each Tasty Cake pie with a tender, flaky crust in its own individual tin. With favorites like lemon, cherry, and the one-of-a-kind Tasty Claire, there's no wrong time to pick up a Tasty Cake pie at a store near you. For a mid-morning treat, for an afternoon snack, or just for the fun of it. It's pie time whenever you reach for a Tasty Cake pie.
Phillies fans, if you want to get inside the game, inside the team, and inside the strategy, then we've got you covered. Tune into the Baseball Insiders presented by SEPTA every Sunday following Phillies baseball. Former Phillies All-Stars Ricky Battalico and Tommy Green join host Phillies Director of Fun and Games John Brazier to recap all the action and look ahead to what's coming up for the Fightin' Phils. The Baseball Insiders presented by SEPTA right here on 1490 WBCB and video stream live at WBCB1490.com.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
Phillies PA announcer Dan Baker asking you to join me and former Phillies slugger Greg the Bull Luzinski for the Independence Blue Cross Bull Session presented by Gage Fiore, attorneys at FightForYou.com. Every Monday, 6 to 7 p.m., we'll talk Phillies baseball with a different guest each week. Go to WBCB1490.com to check show locations and guest information each week. The Independence Blue Cross Bull Session, presented by Gage Fiore, attorneys at FightForYou.com, every Monday at 6 p.m. on 1490 WBCB and 610 Sports.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, July 29. On this date in 1996, WCW Monday Nitro aired live from Orlando, Florida. In the main event, the Giant pinned Greg Valentine. On this date in 2002, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Greensboro, North Carolina. In the main event, The Rock pinned Ric Flair. Also that night, Chris Benoit pinned Rob Van Dam to win the Intercontinental Championship. On this date in 2003, WWE SmackDown was taped in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In the main event, Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle defeated A-Train and The Big Show in a tag team match. On this date in 2014, WWE SmackDown was taped in Corpus Christi, Texas. In the main event, Chris Jericho pinned Eric Rowan. This has been Today in Wrestling History, July 29. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, at least in the recent past, as well as the present in a sense, as I'm just about at, or at least close to, making my way to the Braxton Sutter seminar going on at the MFPW Arena down at 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. And there's an event tonight there as well, which I'll be doing play-by-play commentary for. Lucas should be involved in some capacity. he had some occupational obligations as they've been hammering him hard all of a sudden, working in a lot of cases doubles as well. So his availability has been questionable at best, but I'm not faulting him because he's let me know that they've been kind of hammering him a little bit there, almost as much as the Hall of Famer Greg Valentine of the same name in terms of the hammer. But yes, that's all going on tonight. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, if you didn't hear it earlier. Also, Signomania returning. Got to talk a little bit about that, courtesy of our friends over at George's Cards and Collectibles. That's right, Signomania back on Saturday, September 16th at the Bucks County Technical High School in Fairless Hills, Pennsylvania. Stay tuned over the next few weeks as names are announced. So far announced by RF Video, but not yet officially announced by George's Cards and Collectibles. Guests Joey Matthews, formerly known as Joey Mercury, as well as Bull James. George's has 2 locations for all of your cards and collectibles needs, including their original store at 7755 New Falls Road in Levittown, and in the Neshaminy Mall in the movie theater wing. For more information, go to georgescollectibles.com and follow George's Cards and Collectibles on Facebook. Getting back into the news and notes here, a little interesting tidbit courtesy of Davey Richards, who announced that he sought and received his release from Global Force Wrestling. Richards posting in a tweet this past Monday stating, quote, "Today I came to terms with GFW for my release. This story, however, is a happy one. I have nothing but good memories and great things to say about my time here. Truth is, I love wrestling, but my goal is to be a doctor. I have managed my time in doing both my school, my job as a paramedic, being a dad, and a wrestler as best I could for as long as I could. But the demands as I head into the last couple of years of medical school have brought me to a point where I have to choose one or another. So with GFW's blessing, I have chosen medical school. Thank you to everyone at GFW and its great fans for an awesome journey. I can still take independent bookings on a limited basis for the time being," end quote. So Davey Richards leaving wrestling to become a doctor. How about that? Not quite the Doctor of Desire Tom Pritchard from the Heavenly Bodies, but no, an actual licensed medical practitioner. Nothing but good vibes and good wishes to Davey on that, as medical school is not easy. Heck, broadcasting school wasn't easy, and obviously you can tell I kind of barely passed here, right? No. No, maybe not necessarily. Getting back to some other news here. WWE revealing its 2017 second quarter financial results on Thursday. The company reporting $5.1 million of net income as compared to just $0.8 million net income in the second quarter of last year. McMahon saying in a press release, good old Vince McMahon, "We are pleased with our ongoing efforts to execute our multi-platform content strategy, as evidenced by the continued year-over-year growth of WWE Network, the increased production of localized programming across platforms and markets, and the attraction of new sponsors," end quote. Meanwhile, some numbers on the subscriptions or subscribers for the WWE Network. Their quarterly earnings report lists the WWE Network as having 1.568 million paid subscribers as of June 30th of this year. That number actually down from the 1.661 million subscriber mark that the company was at coming out of WrestleMania 33 in April. Well, yeah, people tend to hop on for WrestleMania and then hop off because it's the unofficial off-season, even though there's no off-season in professional wrestling. And 1.158 million of that latest subscriber count comes from the United States, and then 410,000 are international subscribers. The latest total WWE Network count, including free promotional users, is 1.633 million. And the overall count was at 1.949 million coming out of WrestleMania and 1.560 million on June 30th of 2016. Pretty much meaning that business not quite picking up at this point, and even down a little bit compared to last year. The total paid subscriber count from June 30th of last year was 1.511 million, so that actually is up about 57,000 paid subscribers between last year and this year. So a slight gain in that regard, but things otherwise just kind of treading water. And now jumping back over to GFW for a moment, Keith McMahon, attorney for Alberto El Patron and Page, released documents on their alleged incident at the Orlando airport on July 9th. McMahon stating that the documents show there was no alcohol, drugs, or arrests. McMahon writing, quote, "No physical harm to one another, just an argument between a couple that others exploited." So trying to put that on the proverbial back burner. Now, something else that jumped out at me from GFW, the conference call from this past Wednesday, where Bruce Pritchard and Dutch Mantell were on the call, and they discussed a wide variety of topics, including their day-to-day roles and a few other various tidbits. Pritchard mentioning, as far as his day-to-day role, he says, quote, "Essentially, I am a talent, but I've been asked to come in and help consult behind the scenes. I'm used as a sounding board. I've done it all in wrestling, so I'm there to help and watch the company grow from years of experience. My main role is that of a talent, and beyond that, I am a consultant, and I'm not afraid to give my opinion." Hard to say whether it's, "I love you." Okay, maybe not. A little throwback to Brother Love. Dutch Mantell, meanwhile, saying, "My role is like Bruce's. I operate in a consultant capacity, and I consult on various issues, creative, TV, whatever I'm asked. I was probably one of the first they called when the new regime took over. I was one of the first ones they contacted, and I was talking to them for several months before the change was made. Right now, looking back, it's a very positive environment. If anything, or in anything in life, it's a work in progress. We're striving every day to make this a better product for our TV partners and, most importantly, the fans." Also of note, Dutch Mantell mentioning comments on Jack Swagger. He says, "I talk to Jack every couple of weeks. Since he left WWE, he has experienced some interest, and we have some interest in him. He was on the road for 10 years, and I think right now he is enjoying his time off. But I am interested in bringing him in. I think he is a great in-ring talent and performer. Even better than that, he is a great guy to be around. I think you could possibly see him in GFW soon." Interesting. So maybe we'll see a reuniting of We the People, perhaps. Also, there were allegations of negotiations with Rey Mysterio, which Dutch addressed. He said, "The latest I heard was that negotiations were not officially underway, but unofficially. We are talking to him, and he would be a great addition, but I can't add anything to that. I think he would be a great addition." Pritchard and Dutch Mantell were also asked about the benefits of being able to tape television rather than be live. Pritchard answering, "Well, the advantage is definitely cost. You can spread that out. You're not having the addition of traveling back and forth. In addition to that, you have your TV production costs, live satellites, and what have you. They're just simple economics of production. The advantage on that part sometimes outweigh the advantage of being able to go live with the live element and live feel. I love live TV, but sometimes you have to look at the basic economics if it's feasible. When it is, I'm sure we're doing it, but there are advantages of having all of your TV done and then the time in post-production to make it the best you can as well. When you're live, you get one shot at it." And Dutch Mantell adding, "A lot of advantages and disadvantages. On live TV, anything can happen. Whoever is at that headset better be willing to step it up and make a decision. The reason we're doing block taping is strictly economic. If you did shows like WWE does, or if we did a live show, a standalone show, the numbers are astronomical. I saw it the other day. If you package them up like we're doing, one setup cost and putting them under one roof, one travel, it lessens the money you're putting out. It's strictly a budget issue. Creatively, live versus pre-tape, I don't really prefer one or the other. If it came down to it, I think live is more exciting." So, interesting how they both have the same assessment in terms of financial scenarios, but obviously they both kind of sort of lean toward preferring a live environment if and when it's affordable. They also brought a little bit of intrigue as far as assessing the writing process for professional wrestling. This I thought was fascinating. Mantell saying, "One person cannot write this. One person would be stretched so thinly he wouldn't have time to go home at night. There needs to be a team to do this. WWE has 25 writers, but there comes a problem. You have to have writers, but the writers need experience, and I don't know where you get that experience. In WWE, none of the writers were former wrestlers. The agents were, and the producers were, but the writers went to school for English or journalism. It doesn't mean you can make that jump to pro wrestling. He also added, one day I asked a writer up there, I asked him where he worked before, and he worked for the Rochester Daily News Journal. He was very respectful, and I like all those guys, but you need a team for the amount of work and writing that has to be done. And Bruce Pritchard, with also an interesting point of view on it, said, having done both, being a single writer sometimes and also being part of a large group, even when you're by yourself, you're getting ideas from everybody. It's impossible for one person to be able to do it, and I think that the trick is, and the key is, to get qualified creative minds all around you. I gave up the theory that they need to come from the wrestling business a long time ago, but I do think they need to have an appreciation for the wrestling business, and they need to enjoy the product before they can come in and start contributing. For someone to be passionate about a product or about a story, I would hope at some point in their life they have experienced some of what they are writing about, not just dreaming about it. If you're writing a love story and you've never been in love, it doesn't ring true. But someone who has been in love and has been jilted, they know how that feels. It's the same in wrestling. If a guy who has never been punched in the face, he doesn't know how to sell a punch in the face. Experience in life and passion are two biggest things I would look for in a writer. Interesting. And that probably explains why I'm having trouble selling a punch in the face, because I haven't been punched in the face. I'm sure this is where Lucas would readily and willingly and ably volunteer if he was here. But since he isn't, oh well, what can you say, what can you do? Also, they had a bit of a opinion on the Hardy Broken Universe situation. Pritchard saying, from my point of view, I know absolutely nothing about it, so to give you an opinion, I couldn't. There are always two sides to every story, and regardless of what happens, you have to remember that. Both sides could be right, both could be wrong. I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to comment. You would be getting a comment from someone who has zero knowledge of the situation, and that's not fair to anybody. Dutch also kind of avoiding picking sides and kind of taking the professional route, saying, quote, I try to stay out of the way. It's not my area of responsibility. I know about as much as everyone else. The company's position is IP law belongs to the employer, and that's the line they're taking. If negotiations are going on or not, I have no idea. I hope it gets worked out, and I think it will in the end. And something else that was brought up that I thought was fairly interesting here. On the changes in TNA or GFW since the last time they were there. Pritchard saying, quote, it's a completely different company from when I left. Walking into it for me from a talent standpoint, I go in and I'm working with Jeff. It's a different environment to what it was before. When I sit there and I talk to him and we talk about the business in the future, I believe there is actually an understanding when we talk. I don't believe that was there before. The folks at Anthem have placed their confidence in Jeff, Dutch, and Jeremy, and they're allowing the people who know what they're doing to go ahead and do it. They're allowing the business to be run, and they're listening to folks who have done it before. The environment is night and day, and frankly, that was one of the selling points on me coming back into the fold. It's a completely different company. And Dutch adding on, it's totally different. Ownership sets the tone from top to bottom. When I was here before, the tone was a little bit off. I'll be honest, when I was here before, I didn't know who ran the company. This guy was, no Dixie was, I didn't know. In WWE, you have one guy in charge, Vince McMahon. When it goes to him, it's going to the Supreme Court. In TNA, and this is not a knock, but sometimes it was a rudderless ship and we were just floating out in the water. That's the difference. Anthem has taken over and they have put certain people in charge. They don't tell you how to handle it, but they tell you what your responsibility is and they let you run with it. So far, I think we're doing well, but it's still a work in progress. So some interesting notes from the conference call from earlier this week, courtesy of GFW and Bruce Pritchard and Dutch Mantell. Well, we got a few minutes left here, and that means it's just about time for, yeah, you guessed it, birthdays. Probably should have let Jack Spears throw that in there as he's in studio here today. Alrighty, so I've got 3 plus 2 Brucey bonuses. So firstly, on this date in 1933, Louis Vincent Albano was born. The former WWF United States Tag Team Champion, WWE Hall of Fame manager, and actor from the TV series The Super Mario Bros. Super Show, along with portraying Cyndi Lauper's father in music videos for Girls Just Want to Have Fun, The Goonies Are Good Enough, and She-Bop, better known as Captain Lou Albano, passed away in 2009 at the age of 76. I think we even swung our arms from side to side, putting the old Super Mario Bros. Super Show credits theme, Do the Mario. Yeah, you remember it out there. On this date in 1962, Kazuo Sonny Ono was born. The Japanese pro wrestling manager in WCW from 1994 to 1999, who infamously filed a racial discrimination lawsuit against AOL Time Warner, better known as Sonny Ono, turns 55 today. And also on that same date in that same year of 1962, Scott Carl Rechsteiner was born. The controversial former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, two-time television champion, two-time United States champion, six-time WCW Tag Team champion, two-time WWF Tag Team champion, and former TNA Tag Team champion, as well as math scholar.
You know, they say all men are created equal, but you look at me and you look at Small Joe, and you can see that statement is not true. See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at sacrifice, you got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even going to try. So, Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning, if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 2/3%, I got 141 2/3 chance of winning at sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at sacrifice.
That's right, you know it. Better known as Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner turns 55 today as well. And then on the other end of things, the Brucey bonus. Something outside of the world of wrestling. Got a couple here. The first one in 1966 on this date, Martina Mariah Schiff was born. The country music singer and songwriter with country chart toppers including Wild Angels, A Broken Wing, Wrong Again, I Love You, and Blessed, better known as Martina McBride, turns 51 today. And on this date in 1972, this is one for the nerds out there like myself, Richard William Wheaton III was born. The actor and writer best known for his role of Gordy in the movie Stand By Me and portraying Wesley Crusher in the television series Star Trek The Next Generation, better known to all of you out there as Will Wheaton, turns 45 today. Wow, where does the time go? And speaking of which, well, it's time for me to get on out of here. So don't forget to check out the MFPW down at 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. I'll be providing the commentary. Twitch hopefully will be in action as well if he has some semblance of energy left, although I really have no room to talk at this point. You'll see Braxton Sutter, Impact star, taking on Manny Soriano for the MF Live Championship. Also a grudge match that's been boiling for a while. Nick Camarado and Josh Briggs, along with Rico De La Vega, taking on Dobbs and Plunkett the Ogre, along with Rocco. You'll see the Money in the Miles, Falaba and Mario Bocra defending the MFPW Tag Team titles. Getty is going to make his debut against Eric Martin. Also, the Royal Money taking on Corey Hyena Hex. All that and more. Check it out tonight. Hoping to see you there. And don't forget, if you get a front row seat, that means you get a backstage tour and meet and greet prior to the show. How awesome is that? Anyway, I want to say thank you to Jack Spears, who was in studio turning the dials and pushing the buttons to make sure we stay on the air here. And until next week, when I'll be back in studio live, play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock and all's well.
Serving you better than ever before. This is 1490 WBCB.